According to Google, in 1619, this is when slavery began. And December 6th of 1865 is when technically slavery was abolished. It was abolished because somebody wrote some words or typed some words on a piece of paper and they said it was a law. I want to ask you to consider something. That is a period of approximately 246 years. What can any human being practice for a period of 246 years that probably spans 10 to 15 generations? And because somebody writes or types some words on a piece of paper, that automatically changes, heals, and repairs the hearts and minds of those that were oppressed, as well as those that were the oppressors. In order to really heal any human being, whether you were oppressed or you were the oppressor, you must get intentional about acknowledging the pain. And many people may say that the oppressors weren't in pain, but you have to be in a great deal of pain in order to inflict that type of pain on another human being. So in order to heal, that means that those that were oppressed and the oppressors, they both have to go and do their healing work so that they can do the healing work necessary to repair their hearts, their mind, the emotional wounds, and really become self-aware enough to change the adaptive ways that were required for the oppressed in order to endure those times. And the oppressors, they must also become self-aware to understand what it is within themselves that was missing and or lacking that made them believe that it was okay to behave in such a manner. We are living in a world that it is very different from that period of 246 years. However, it is still very much unhealthy. It is still very much filled with racism and hatred. And many of us have developed this mindset, this belief that, oh, that was so long ago. They abolished that in 1865. Everything is all good now. That's not quite how real change works. You must examine the inner man in order for real change to take place. You must do some real deep internal work on the inside in order to get rid of the hatred and to understand that you have developed some adaptive ways in order to navigate a world that was dehumanizing and hurtful and harmful to you. Because when you don't do that work of self-examination, you will unintentionally pass that pain on to the next generation, and the cycle will just keep repeating itself. And this has happened for so many of us because many of us have parents and grandparents and other ancestors that didn't have the ability to do the healing work necessary, or maybe for one reason or another they just didn't want to. But regardless of why they didn't do it, if nobody did it in the past, that means it is highly likely that you, as a parent, have inherited some very unhealthy ways as a result of a world that existed hundreds of years ago. And you are carrying on in a world where those tools don't work and those beliefs are not serving you or others well. And for this reason, this is why it is important that you as a parent do your healing work. You learn how to acknowledge your feelings. You learn how to identify the root cause of poor behavior. And you do the work necessary to keep practicing behaviors that are healthy, to modify those unhealthy behaviors that are not serving you and your family well, so that you can create a lasting legacy of love. Our world is filled with too much hatred and too much chaos. And parents have to be more intentional about teaching their children the truth about history and doing their healing work so they don't pass that pain onto their children.